So I'm Raajneel Kulthe. I'm the co-ambassador of Surgeon International, and we have Miss Juliane NEUBÜSER with us. So a quick intro about her. She is from Berlin. She is an entrepreneur who is having a lot of experience in and is a university lecturer in professional and personal development. And she also is very much familiar with the business strategies and scientific writing as well. So she is also a founder of J&M Consultancy and vice president and founding member of Young Entrepreneurs section in Germany SME Association. So and she's also an active member in Rotary as well in Berlin. So today we have her over here, and she's gonna share her experience and learnings with us, so as to help the youth to get some insights about the struggles and also give an impact on the mindsets of young adults about the entrepreneurship and leadership. So let's start with the questions. Before that, I would ask everyone that this is a interactive based session. So if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat box, and it would be seen in the Q&A session as well. So let's begin with that note. So the very first question that I have is, what does value-based entrepreneurship mean for you, and where do the values come from, and what importance does it have on your business?
Okay, that's 3 questions in one, and yeah, I'm gonna get to each one of them.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, Raajneel and the whole team of Sardinia, thank you very much for welcoming me here. I'm very excited to have this interview session today. Also, I like the fact that it's interactive. So please, everyone, feel free to drop your questions. I'm very much looking forward to answer them. And also, before maybe we dive into the topic, I would like to give you a bit of a background of why am I here? Why am I sitting here? Raajneel has already been so kind to introduce me and to lay out what I'm doing at the moment. Maybe for the audience, it would be interesting to know a bit of a background about me, like where do I come from? How did I come to be in this position right now? Where do I get this experience from? You know, so yeah, I was born in former Eastern Germany. So for those of you who are not very familiar with the history of Germany, this is a country which doesn't exist anymore. It was the former communist site. So this has shaped me in a bit in my path, and it's kind of contradictory to become an entrepreneur if you come from communism. But I was only 8 when that happened, 8 years old. So yeah, getting into entrepreneurship was something I've seen with my parents, and they've always warned me not to do it. I still couldn't help it. It was always kind of in there. I always wanted to do things my way. I wanted to have something on my own. But at first I started a career in the corporate world, in corporate communications. So that was my first studies. My first studies were communications, and I started working on the journalism side and in PR agencies, and also on the client side, which is the company. So I worked in a steel company. They produce steel tubes, and I helped them to translate their engineering German into normal German, basically, to get their messages across. And later on, I worked at a plating company. So they produce plating materials for microchips and technology, and or also car parts, machine parts. Yeah. But it was never really mine, and I was never 100% convinced of the values also they stood for as a company. So at some point, I started looking out for creating my own passion into a business. And I realized that it started out actually with an Indian company. It was an Ayurvedic resort. I went there for treatments. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, you're good doctors, but you have no idea about marketing, so let me help you. Yeah, and then that's how we started working together. They were my first clients. They recommended me to an IT company who was building the website for them, and I was giving the layouts and contents, and they recommended me further and further, and so that's how it worked out. And this is how I kind of became an entrepreneur with the specification of India, a German-Indian market. So that was kind of my journey. And then I mostly focused on business strategies. Market entry strategies were very much in demand for Indian companies coming to Germany. And then, yeah, this business is called J&M Consulting, as you introduced. At the same time, I also had my first employee. This is part of the employee engagement, which I live in my company. So he wanted to start his own YouTube channel, and I like this kind of initiative. Anyways, he's a very energetic person, so I thought like, okay, let's have it. Let's give him some extra time for that. And then through this YouTube channel, he got a lot of requests from students from India, especially because he's Indian himself, coming to Germany to study, and how can that happen and how can they do it. And that's how we started a business called J&M Education, based on these requests, because we wanted to provide real information, not that because there's a lot of scam in the market. So this was kind of a spin-off. Last July, I sold this company to him, and he's running it now under his name. And yeah, I continued with J&M Education, but I focused more on the lecturing part, on sharing the experiences and knowledges, because I realized that this is something I'm really passionate about. After all, in J&M Education, I've worked a lot with young people, with students or aspiring students, and this was kind of an inspiration to really share my experiences, seeing that they can be helpful for others, you know. So yeah, that's how I got into this lecturing.
So I've also heard that you have been elected, or you're standing for the presidency in Rotary Club of your Berlin. So how do you like exactly? So yeah, Tejas and I was talking, and he mentioned that she's gonna be the president, and I was like, wow, that's great. So.
No, see, this is something the Rotary Club and I mean, some members of the board and I had discussed as an option. And yeah, I'm up for the challenge.
Amazing.
We have a great president right now, and a past president. He's also joined, by the way. You can see him here in the guest list.
Yeah.
And yeah, and these are big footsteps to fill at some point. But yeah, why not? I mean, I'm up for the challenge at some point. But yeah, we have a line of people working there as president. A current president now, president-elect, I think, is the next one. So yeah, let's see.
Amazing. So
yeah, but they're doing a great job there at this Rotary Club. It's a pretty young Rotary Club, and they're doing a great job there, also taking care of the gender balance.
Amazing. Really fascinating about it. So so that was an interesting background that you shared with us, and I would love to ask you, how did you come across the value-based entrepreneurship? As in, when did you sought to feel that urge in yourself that I had to do this since the beginning, and I found the very, very link to my success. So
yeah,
what made you so passionate about it?
Well, this is also one thing. When you follow your passion, you do that because it's important to you. It's significant for your life. That gives you energy, but also it comes along with a certain set of values which you already carry because it's already important to you. What I find very significant when it comes to value-driven or value-based entrepreneurship is that usually we perceive this as a contradiction, that you can have your own values, but at the same time have a successful business, because it should be done in a certain way, how you do business, how you maximize your profits, and that's the only value you thrive for. But I mean, there's been a change in values which can be observed very easily, and I've found that when it's passion driven, you want it to be something which you can be proud of, which you can be you can stand for it, and that can only be in alignment with your own values. And also it creates more values for others. It's not just a business. It's not just about money. It's of course about money. You need to make a living, right? And it's also not bad to earn money. Also, some people have that kind of belief system, for example. To have these values, like last week, you spoke with Neil Peterson, and he is one of my mentors. He has shaped these 4 questions, which I also applied in that context. So he said, okay, first of all, is it good for me? If you say yes, proceed. Is it good for my family? If you say yes, you proceed. Is it good for my community? If you say yes, proceed. And then, is it good for future generations? And these are the 4 questions you need to be able to answer with yes, and then this is really something valuable which you're doing there. So I think the link to the success of a business comes when people see that you really believe and live what you're selling as well, and this is something which you can't fake. At some point, that will come out.
Exactly. So let's come back to the question that I asked you.
Yes.
So what does these values-based entrepreneurship, as in you explained it very well, that value-based entrepreneurship means to you a lot. So where does these values come from? As in, how do you segregate those values and prioritize them?
Well, we are all born into this world and being imprinted by our family, by our friends, our environment. Also, we come with a certain set of characteristics which are based in us. So all these things, experiences through life, all our childhood, teachers, happy Teachers Day, those are the incidents which shape our life, our belief systems, and they create a set of values for us, which we learn throughout life. And this is where the roots are from the values which you get. For example, me having been born on the east side of Germany, I wasn't able to travel. Not much, at least. I mean, we were able to travel to the communist side, but not to other countries. So freedom was a huge topic, especially when the wall fell and we were able to travel freely. This is definitely something which shaped my love for internationality and for being able to travel freely and for freedom in general, how important that is, and that not everyone has this. So I think this is also part of why I always wanted to do things my way, because I wanted to have the freedom to do so.
Exactly. Freedom is necessary. Until and unless you don't feel free, you can't do the way you want it. And the product is hindered by the the less freedom you feel, the less free you feel, the less productivity is shown. It's vice versa. So
and there are also many other values, which you can bring into your business as well, and they shape how you interact with your clients, how you interact with your team, how you shape your products. For example, are you familiar with the smoothies, for example, the innocent smoothies? So they, I think they're UK based, if I'm not mistaken, and they set out with a goal when they started, which was to provide healthy smoothies with fresh ingredients, all organic and everything. But also with the goal that 10% of their profits go to charity organizations from the beginning on. And they really supported and lived these ideas, and also communicated them in a clear communication strategy. So far that they were able to build some kind of fan community, and asked them, for example, to knit some what are they called, beanies for the bottles where the smoothies are. And with these beanies, these bottles, they gave an extra charity donation to more organizations. So it was kind of a community idea, I think, and then they just executed it. So this is something where you can see specific values like sustainability or charity, or healthy living being transported in a way.
Amazing. So as you know that now, like in today's world, values change pretty often, and as the recent situation and the scenario is going, people would get lost and won't know what to do and what path should they proceed with. So what a person should prioritize with, and what values should he stick to, and do you think that in today's world, like as I mentioned, that values pretty much aren't fixed. People shift from one priority to the next, and they don't stick to the thing that they really want to do. There's no zeal that is there in them. So what would you say about that?
Well, I think values are nothing which shifts easily. It's not like a priority. Priorities can shift or have to shift sometimes to adapt to changed environments or situations. Values are usually something which accompanies you through your life. Sometimes you feel a necessity to change or work on some of these. And that's also a part of the self-development, that you're being able to reflect upon yourself, like, okay, is this value really carrying me through life, or is it kind of blocking me or hurting others? And this is also something which which is very important for me actually to emphasize, that I see that very often in this world, that on one side you have people who really bring very valuable contents or products or services or attitudes into the business world, which are there to enrich the world and to create a business culture of doing something impactful and sustainable. At the same time, I see that very often as well, that there are a lot of people who still follow a lot that ego culture. Like the loudest is the best in social media, for example, or someone who thinks like, okay, you fake it until you make it. This fake part it can really cause a lot of damage, not just image-wise. And for example, like there's a huge challenge to be seen, especially in a world where there are so many people and you're always going like me, 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 me. If you grow up like this, you don't really learn to be social with others. Social in the sense like to take care of others or look out for others. It's always like you have learned only to push yourself through the crowd. But not looking out that you might be able to help others or carry others or just not disturb others, So this is a kind of ego culture which I've observed very often. And from my point of view, it would be much easier for everyone in this world if we just, helped each other and accepted that, one person can have their freedom, you can have yours, as long as they don't interfere, as long as your freedom doesn't hurt my freedom and vice versa. So I think that's the approach which I would like to set as a minimum for value-based entrepreneurship.
Exactly. Very well said. So I would love to know the struggles that you faced whilst you were, proceeding with the value-based entrepreneurship, like being at an early stage of proceeding with the value-based entrepreneurship and doing it wholly and solely by yourself with no help. So how does it feel like? As in, what issues you faced and what struggles you went through?
Yeah. Well, it always starts with oneself. So for me, it was more like I first had to realize that I want to have something on my own, and that the current job I'm doing is not fulfilling me, is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Even though I liked it, it was good for me and it provided for me as well. Also, you have to consider the economic factors. Like I'm a mother of two, for example, and I have to provide for my family. So
Exactly.
this is a risk which you need to assess. Can you afford to just start your own business right now, time-wise, finance in terms of finances as well, and other resources which you need. And then for myself, it was a kind of a hybrid model, which I tried. So I worked part-time in my daily job, and the other part I used for setting up my business slowly, and also being there for my family. And this kind of worked for some time, but then at some point I just felt like, okay, my job is kind of hindering my resources, and then I just wanted to go to be a full-time entrepreneur, because I realized that this is giving me energy. So this is the kind of mental balance which you want to keep, right? Do something which you love and which gives you energy. So this is how I started it, but then there were a lot of obstacles on the way. So as I said, my parents also didn't like me to start a business on my own. Were afraid that it would cost too much money and I wouldn't have enough time, especially with two little children. Then my husband, now ex-husband, he was also against it, which was not helpful. I mean, you can disagree on things, but he was actually sabotaging it, more or less, because he didn't believe in it. And there were some other issues as well coming up. And so at some point, it was obvious that our ways need to part. I mean, the escalations at home got really, really crazy. Not just, of course, because of the entrepreneurship, but that had a huge impact on the entrepreneur's success in that moment. And that was a huge challenge, because I've already done some investments into starting a business, starting this consulting business, finding clients, going on a business trip, joining professional networks to get my name out there. And it was challenging to have these troubles at home, and actually nobody in your vicinity to believe in you. Because at the same time, when you start a business, you doubt yourself a lot. You always have to go what we call through the valley of tears. So it's really you have to figure out, like, what am I good at? What are people what are they willing to pay for it? What am I worth? What are my weaknesses? Also, you have to face all of it, and you have to be very, very honest with yourself in order to build a sustainable business model. And for example, in my case, I built a consulting company. That's nothing innovative, it's just a basic business, actually. The difference which I made for myself was that I tied very strong relationships with my clients in terms of understanding their business. I went out like several miles to just understand their business and their company much, much better, but also able to use the outside look on them to help them understand what are the resources which they can use for market entry. And I mean, I just needed a handful of clients at one time to work with. I mean, my capacities were also limited, and then at some point I realized I need some team support. And so, I mean, these were all struggles on the way, which I enjoyed. But having people around me who didn't believe in me, that was really sabotaging my mindset for all this, because you need strength. and you need to find trust in yourself. So what I did was I built a supportive network around me, and that was also something I learned from Neil. He was one of the first to join it. Actually, he came up with the idea with the term. Yeah, this is how I started strengthening myself, thanks to a support network also. And this is something you really need to have as an entrepreneur. There's a very famous term when you start being an entrepreneur. You need to beg, borrow, and steal in the beginning. For me, it translates more into you need to be able to ask for help if you need it. You don't have to do everything on your own.
Exactly. Like asking for help is not a crime, and it won't cost you.
No. Actually, people are happy if they can help, you know?
Exactly. So, are there any instances that you would love to share when you know, throughout the journey that you have had? So, are there any particular instances which you would love to share with the viewers?
Yeah. Well, we've already talked about the struggles, and yeah, I mean, everyone would face some struggles if you start a business. What's really important, even though it sounds very boring, but it is very true, is persistence. So you continue on the path which you have chosen for yourself, because it's very it's very straightforward if you know where you're going and why you're doing this. This is also something why a business strategy is so important. But before you even build that, in the process of becoming an entrepreneur, I think it's way more important that you go through this valley of tears, basically. So you take this as a chance to look inside. Like, what are my values? What do I bring along? Why am I doing this? This is the answer which you find in this phase. And then also it helps you to shape your product and get a clear focus of where you want to go with your business. So this is really, really important. And you need to be radically honest with yourself, which is tough at times, really, really tough. Especially if you come more from an ego culture, then others will not accept inward look or the self-reflecting perspective. So it might be challenging at times, and you will lose a friend or two, or even a partner, can happen. And you need to adapt to these situations, and financial pressure is there. There are a lot of challenges which you need to face. But as long as you know which values are driving this, why am I doing this, and where's my goal, then you can easily tackle these challenges.
Amazing.
Having some stress relieving techniques like meditation and stuff is also helpful. Yeah, but everyone needs to discover that for themselves. So
exactly. So apart from that, as you know, innovation is necessary. So what is your take on innovation? As in, should you innovate through yourself or through others?
Okay, first of all, I would question innovation is necessary because you can't generalize it. It depends on what kind of product or service you're sharing. I think it is necessary in many industries or many sectors of businesses. It is not necessarily significant when it comes to, for example, coaching or teaching. I mean, teaching, the technology can change, the approaches can change, but in general, it's something like you're going there with a giving heart. You want to give something, you want to share something. So this should be something which should not change, please, because that's the core of teaching or coaching in general. But innovation is necessary when it comes to how we reach people, for example, through the technology.
Exactly, the approach matters.
Also for products, for product life cycles. But there is also a but for when it comes to value-driven entrepreneurship, it's important to not use the product life cycle, like with phones, mobile phones, for example, in order to push more and more onto the market and create an even shorter lifespan for products, just to make people buy more. So the batteries, they just last until the guarantee is over, just a couple of days more, maybe, so you need to buy a new one. Or the operating system of your phone, it doesn't work after a certain upgrade of the software. So these are drivers to make you buy new products. And I think this, if you look at the value of sustainability, it is not very sustainable. So innovating for the sake of creating more demand and selling more products, that's something I wouldn't encourage as value-driven. But if you innovate because you improve something, you make something more efficient or more sustainable according to your values, then innovation is definitely helpful and also sometimes needed to keep your business alive.
Totally agree. So, is a successful entrepreneur is it necessary for a successful entrepreneur to be experienced? As in, can a newbie can get into that field and work his way out?
Well, it really depends on what's your motivation to become an entrepreneur. So, of course, it is helpful. For me, I found it helpful to have experienced the corporate world and see how international corporations work and operate, and how much they diversify the different processes along the line of serving a client. And also centralized a few tasks. And they have a lot of special divisions for everything, whereas an entrepreneur in the beginning, he needs to do everything on his own. As soon as you have some team members, then you can delegate tasks and you can start creating an internal structure. But to have some experience of the business world is definitely helpful. But at the same time, if you are not the corporate guy or type, and you feel like you want to start your business right away, just get into it. Anyways, once you're in the market, you will learn how to swim, because the market can really be brutal and can teach you a lot. But at the same time, you just take a lot of lessons and learnings from it, and you will figure out your way. With an entrepreneurial mindset, you will always start to see the chances in the beginning. And it also happened to me. I entered the corporate, the entrepreneurial world full time, and then I started realizing, oh, there's not just this. There's also this opportunity, and that, and that, and that. And then I needed to focus a lot, not to get lost and maybe create a very unspecific product which nobody can explain or keep in mind. So you have to keep in mind your strategy. From time to time, you need to recheck it, of course, and adapt if necessary. That's also something as an entrepreneur that you need to be able to adapt to change and let go of something which has grown dear to you, maybe. But at the same time, you always need to have a look at your values. Are they still represented in the right kind of way? So this is very important. And also with regards to your earlier question about innovation, whether you yourself innovate, or are you influenced by people, by others? Sometimes, of course, the market poses some demands which might be threatening to your business also. So you have to seek this as a chance to see that, okay, this is a sign actually that my old business model is not going to work any longer. So I need to investigate the chances and opportunities there to innovate, to find something new. But yeah, it should be something which you live as a person as well. Otherwise, how can you sell it, right? Otherwise, it will just be a hollow bubble of some service or product, and you can't sell it with the same kind of passion or authentic enthusiasm which you did before, So this is something you always need to balance. So it's more or less like this SWOT analysis. You're familiar with that, I guess. The strengths, opportunities, and strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So the strengths and weaknesses are within yourself, like as a company. So you check like, okay, what am I good at? What are my weak spots? But then you check it with the market side. What are the resulting opportunities which I have in the market? What are the resulting threats? So this is this kind of process which you do, and you use your values all the time for checking whether this is the right kind of path for you.
Amazing. So concluding with the questions session, I would just ask one. It would be a question, I'd say, or just a mere doubt that arises in my mind. Is it
Sure.
necessary to have a mentor? So as because sometimes it is good to have a mentor because it can help you in the marketing strategies, and he can be helpful for making up a base for you on which you can grow in the market. So is it necessary to have a mentor, or is it better to be a mentor for yourself?
Well, I think it's good to be a mentor for yourself, but you definitely need external mentors, not just one, I would say. I consider everyone I encounter on my way as being a teacher. Again, happy Teachers Day. It's really a funny coincidence that we're talking on this day, because I really do appreciate everyone on my way as a teacher, no matter what level of experience or age or gender or whatever. Whatever background they have or bring. But everyone's kind of there to teach you something, one thing or the other. Sometimes it's small things, sometimes it's big things, which impact your life significantly. And I think using a mentor to start your business and to maybe to get you into a network, that's not the prime goal. The prime goal is for you to have someone there who is more experienced than you in this particular field and can help you avoid some mistakes or give you some guidance how to set up your business. It should not be necessarily a financial or networking effort. That can happen if both sides feel comfortable with it. But I think a mentor-mentee relationship is really something like a very deep friendship as well. And for the marketing purpose, for that you need a sound business strategy, which includes as one part the communication strategy. Well, first marketing and then communication. And for that, for example, in my case, I used a lot of networks. I deliberately went to business networks like the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce, for example, or the German Association for SMEs. And I just got my word, my name out there about the services. I traveled through India, just meeting with a lot of people there. For example, Klivas here is also here, and I met him through YouTube, through the efforts there, and then we met in India at a trade fair. So this is how I kind of used the marketing. It was more of a very personal affiliate marketing approach.
Amazing. So let's start with the Q&A session. So yeah, I have a few with me as well. Mr. Henning wanted to ask you, how do the values weigh in when choosing new colleagues / new teammates? How do you ensure the right team work or team fit?
Yeah.
As in, yeah. So.
Okay. So well, for that, of course, it's necessary to be a person who looks out for these kind of values. And to me, this is an important value. When I put a team together, I want them to be able to work together on a very strong basis. A strong basis meaning like the community sense should be there. So it should be a match in terms of personalities. That doesn't mean necessarily that the people have to be all equal-minded. What I mean with that is more like that they bring in different skills. I mean, anyways, you're looking for team members according to the strategy, thinking like, okay, I need more people in this area or for this field. So they anyways have a different skill set which you're looking for. And then I always look out for what kind of personality do they bring in. Are they kind of open-minded? Are they good? I mean, are they able to receive criticism or to give criticism in a very constructive way, in a very positive manner? So do they have this kind of approach that you want to help people? You know, you want to be someone who makes an impact, who makes a difference. And also, what are their career goals? Why do they approach me with my company? What are their career goals? Where do they want to go in life? So how much of that can I actually provide for them? How much of what they're looking for I can provide in the sense that they don't even know yet. Like with networks, with helping them to get some exposure or learn some experiences. So this kind of conversation would be the job interview, like that.
Yeah, right. So the next question was from Mr. Peter, and it was, how important is diversity for you as a value in a company?
Very important. Diversity is something which I hope we will not even have to talk about at some point, because it will just be normal and accepted everywhere. As I said, I don't want to have all like-minded people in my team, because everyone brings in a different approach. And that's very valuable when it comes to creating sustainable services or shedding different perspectives on a problem which needs to be solved. So the diversity, from my point of view, is, I mean, it can be gender-based, it can be ethnicity-based, it can be, I don't know, age-based, color-based. I don't know. There are many ways how people can differentiate themselves from others, not just by the looks, but also their mindset. I mean, it's equally different, our minds, how our minds work and how are they shaped and what different values we bring in to a company. So I definitely appreciate and live diversity in every aspect of my life. I think it's very, very important, because this is a way for you as a team, as a company, or as a person to grow, to be challenged with other aspects, thoughts, perspectives.
Amazing. So I hope Mr. Peter got his answer. So there's this question by Tejas. He is asking, is it necessary to choose between profit, or is ethics important? As in, if you want to choose between profit and ethics, which one would you choose?
Well, I think you don't have to choose.
Both are important.
No, I don't think you have to choose, because if you're not making profit with your business, how are you surviving then?
Exactly.
I mean, you can be as good as you want as a person, as a business, ethic-wise, and be there to help also the community, or have a great corporate social responsibility policy. But at the same time, if you're not making profit, how are you going to sustain it? It's not sustainable. So in order to be able to do good, you need to consider that money or profits or financial resources, that they are a necessity on the way. They're nothing bad. Just because you look out for profits, it doesn't mean that it makes you kind of evil, or unethical. Mm-hmm. Not at all, because it is a sustainable approach to accumulate a medium which will help you to help others.
Amazing. So I'd ask all the audience to just take this into consideration, that you can unmute yourself now, and if you have any questions, you can ask directly. if I'm audible, and yeah, go ahead,
Hi,
Mr. K.
I am Kalpesh Pawar. Hi,
Okay.
Raajneel. Hi, Juliane.
Hello,
Uh,
sir.
Hello.
Yeah, sir. Go
Yes.
ahead, sir.
Yeah. So I was very curious to know, like, how do you describe for all the possible opportunities for us to be a part of your company, Juliane?
So if I understood that correctly, you're asking how to become part of my company, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. Well, so as I was mentioning, at the moment, I'm focusing more on the teaching side. For now, I am doing this on my own. I'm working with different universities, like the Steinbeis SME here in Germany, or the IUBH University in Berlin, and also some other universities in other European cities. So with the teaching, so far I've just started like 1 year ago to build that side of the business. So for now, I'm still doing this on my own. I do have some ideas how to extend that kind of business field to provide more insights and spread the value basis more in the world. So for that, at some point in time, I will definitely need some support, and that's a way when I would be looking out for resources in my network. So what I can always recommend is because it's kind of my nature. I'm a networker. I would always encourage people who are interested in what I do and also interested in joining to just be in touch with me through my social media network, because I actually do know most of my contacts in person. And yeah, so this is the recommendation I can give you. For now, I'm not looking for more team members. Because the business, the consulting business, I have slowly reduced a little bit in order to be able to teach more. And all the projects which I have done there, I have either sold to my team members or just reduced or finished these projects, completed them. So yeah, this is the current situation. But again, you're invited to just stay in touch with me, and if there are some opportunities, I will definitely check in my network.
Yes, thank you, Juliane. Thank you. That's all. Thank you, Raajneel, for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, also, when you get in touch with me in social media, give me a quick intro of who you are, what you do, what you're passionate about. Then I can already understand which direction this is going.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
So anyone next who wanna ask any questions?
Raajneel, check the comment box. There are many questions over there.
Sure.
Yeah, I see.
So,
Tejas is very enthusiastic there with a lot of questions.
exactly.
Okay.
So let's finish the questions which are there. So yeah, so
Okay.
Tejas asked, how do you maintain the positive decorum within your needs for smooth working of the business?
Okay, what do you mean with the decorum, Tejas? Like environment?
Ma'am, I mean to say, yeah, the positive environment, like how do we function?
Okay. Well, I remember incidents when there were also quarrels amongst team members, which were kind of threatening the business even at some point, because then they were like, okay, I'm not going to work with this person, which you can't do in that moment, like a 7-people team. Sometimes I had to go in between and just kind of align them to see that, okay, this is the goal we are working for. This is why you joined this company, and everyone has a fair shot here. So bring in your ideas, share them, discuss, but agree to disagree at some point. You don't have to agree on everything. Just accept the freedom to be you, as well as give the freedom to others. So that's the basis actually for everyone to come back, whatever the argument is. And I can't even remember what it was about, to be honest. It's not important. So yeah, but it's very important that I think entrepreneurs and good leaders also, not the same category, by the way, but that both of them, as well as managers even, that they understand themselves as enablers. They are not there because they're better than others, but they're the ones who are there to enable the team to work properly, to help them with the resources they have or they need, to help them being seen as a person, to be able to bring in their own skills and feel encouraged, feel motivated to do that, and so that the team feels comfortable, but also challenged enough to fulfill the work, to see the main goal of the company. So yeah, this is kind of my approach, which I take in the team, and so far it seems to be working fine.
Yeah, thank you.
So moving up, again, Paige is asked, can Germany afford to offer free education even for the foreigners after this COVID-19 pandemic and its repercussion?
Well, I think COVID, the pandemic, it has not affected the system itself in the sense that free education is a basic right here. It's considered like this, and that's why public universities and public schools offer this free of charge. I mean, there are no tuition fees. There are some administrative fees, but nowhere near tuition, which Indian students, for example, are used to, or you find that in UK or US or somewhere. So this is something which I really appreciate about Germany, because I mean, lifelong learning is not just a term for me, and for many others it isn't. So this is a chance which you see in Germany, that it gives the right to everyone to study. At the same time, it has always been an issue, of course, that I mean, if you consider the global markets, there's one country out of, I don't know, 190 across the globe offering free education, and the rest doesn't. Well, you can imagine that there's been a huge influx of applications for these seats at universities. So universities were always challenged to select which students to accept and which not to accept, based on criteria like, of course, their educational background and their fit for this university, and that they're qualified enough to study there, but also based on diversity factors. You can't just have one class full of Indian students, which I know Indian students can easily fill it up. You know, there are enough of Indians, of course, to do that and to have that kind of education. And the same for other countries. You know, I mean, to ensure this stays a diversity within the classroom also, because that helps to enrich the quality of the education itself. So that's why universities had to select also based on the geographical criteria. And yeah, it just leads to a higher competition for these seats in the education system. But I think it's not so much influenced by the pandemic itself. What the pandemic did, what COVID did for universities or education in general, is that they had to overthink their digital business models. Like also, what is teaching? What is teaching always in a classroom, or is it a format like what we are doing right now? How do I get to the students? How do I ensure a quality education? How, for private universities especially, how do I still keep up my tuition and justify it? Whereas there are some free universities out there, like Khan Academy, for example, or I don't know, Udemy. You know, I mean, it's not exactly free, but yeah. it's a competition on a very different level all of a sudden, because you have to make sure that you have alternatives there. But of course, I mean, we all hope that the interpersonal interaction will come back to the classroom as well. And I think it's also very necessary. You can't do everything just online. It's also a question of how much are you able to connect with the people you're speaking with. And like, for example, with the Rotary Club I'm active in, we have some meetings from time to time, and I always thoroughly enjoy them. Thoroughly enjoy seeing the people back again, and it's a different way of connecting. It's very personal, and you get to talk more about things you wouldn't have come up with in a chat, and you usually don't set up a chat. Then you have your program, you talk about a certain thing, but the networking part, that's where the personal interaction is very important. And that's what universities, especially private universities, are focused on, that they provide this kind of network. Because with an MBA program for executives, for example, you don't just buy yourself into the title and the learnings, but you also buy yourself into a community to have a network. So yeah, these are the challenges in general, I would say, but I don't think that there is a problem for Germany to afford continuously the public institutions for education.
Amazing. So the next question that you had was, what do you do to develop overseas networks?
Yeah, I joined the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce, for example, and then I traveled over to India several times. I don't even know how often by now. And again, meeting people in person and interacting with them so that they get an idea of who you are. Yeah, I mean, we're all humans. We get an impression in the first 3 seconds whether a person is sympathetic to us or not. And that happens mostly on a personal level, not so much in the digital way. So yeah, I would just recommend everyone to figure out which networks are helpful there, just to begin with, and then just get into the market, get to know your clients, meet the people, interact, network, whatever you like there.
Exactly. So Yash Gandhi, I guess he, well, I don't know German that well, so
I can translate.
yeah.
So he asked, wie planen Sie das Wachstum Ihres Unternehmens? How do you plan the growth of your company? So for that, okay, you can't plan it exactly. I mean, life is what happens in between, right? But at the same time, I was speaking about having a sound strategy for your business. So you should know where you go. And also we all learned in business studies that you have to define SMART goals, which means they're measurable and they're very precise. So this is a direction which you have, and this also helps you to understand where are you along the way in between. Because you can measure it. You have identified some KPIs which you can use to see, okay, did I achieve this kind of percentage of profits, for example, which would be one of the easiest KPIs, or something would be like social media coverage, or sentiment analysis, or feedback from the clients. How many clients come back and want to have more services? You know, so it's like that. These kind of KPIs you can define and then check whether you're on the right track or not. Of course, it's a bit difficult when it comes to innovations, which we talked about earlier, because then you're entering new territory. So KPIs might be available or not measurable yet because there's no benchmark. Then, of course, you need to define other KPIs which help you to navigate through unknown waters. That could be something like if you use the technique of what's it called? When you innovate together with your audience, with your community, with your clients. So they give you the feedback early on for better products, for example, or better services. Like how does it work? What could be improved? You also take their ideas in, so they feel engaged already. So they
As
feel
a
like,
review
oh,
system.
yeah. So this is the customer-based innovation which you can try and use, and it's also helping you in your market research to gain information. What does my future client look like, and what do they want, and how do they accept the product? What would they like to change? So these kind of things you can always do on a very good basis, and I think market research in that case would be the main factor to consider, to get some data from the market. How are the responses in terms of innovation?
Yes, thank you. So the next question we have is from Mr. Don Harris. So he asked that how much importance do you place on empathy in the business conversation, Julian? Thank you. I'm Don in Dublin, Ireland. Hello, sir. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, Don is also one of my mentors. I have to admit that. He's an awesome person, living in Dublin, and we met in Ireland as well, also in person. And yeah, he's a big promoter of empathy. So I can definitely relate to empathy in that sense, because this is something which is lacking a lot in business. I find that very, very often. I mean, of course, not everyone is born being empathetic. That's fine. We're all different.
Exactly.
But empathy in the business, and that's where it gets actually very interesting, even for people who usually don't have that kind of skill set, because it helps you to understand your clients better. You can actually almost read them. Because it helps you to understand where they're coming from, and what's actually their actual need, which you're trying to fulfill. And with this kind of service thought in your mind, you just want to help them. You just want to deliver a good product there. You want to help them fulfill this need. So you can discover this much, much easier with the help of empathy, with being able to feel into your client, to understand your client much better. And the same for leading a team. It always helps you interact with any kind of person, and it's a skill which is very useful to have, but also it takes a lot of responsibility to use it, especially when you're good at it. So you shouldn't use it to cheat on people, or to use them, or to just make use of this skill in order to exploit them somehow. So this is really important when it comes to empathy. Thanks for the thumbs up.
He seems satisfied. So next up we have Mr. Clevis. So he asked, what are the key factors one should take care of for entering into the German market from India?
Yeah, I remember that discussion. Yeah, so the key factors for entering the German market, not just from India, but in general, it's good to know the Germans. So yeah, very often business is successful here when you have references. You need reference projects, you need reference contacts, that builds trust. Especially when you're coming from abroad, because then, of course, there are a few extra obstacles which you have to take coming from abroad, which are aligned, or which are connected with trust. Like imagine someone's coming with IT services here, saying like, okay, I have the best coders here. They can help you set up a new app in no time, and they have all the skills you need. And that's a huge need here in I mean, like globally, but also in the German market especially. So then you as an entrepreneur, you would think like, okay, this is great, this is awesome. It might even be cheaper because of the salary gap which you have internationally. But at the same time, what happens if there are some conflicts? How do I get hold of the other company? They might just get the money, not deliver. for example, what do I do? Then I have to get into the Indian market actually to find out how does the jurisdiction work there? What kind of lawyer would I need? Or I would need a consultant or something. So there are extra risks which as an entrepreneur you would think of immediately, especially for a situation of possible conflict. That might not always happen, of course, hopefully it doesn't, but of course we all know it's business after all. And so yeah,
Exactly.
sometimes consider these risks as well. What's also there is the language barrier, for example. If the app should be in German, then how well of a German they can provide, or would they use Google Translate and then there would be some funny translations in between. Or I don't know, culture-based also. You know, there are cultural differences which you need to consider. So these kind of fears you need to overcome when entering the German market. So you need to address them properly. First, you do that with getting reference clients who are happy and recommend you. Reference contacts who maybe serve as a representative for your business. So this is really important at first to ensure that there is some closer instance which helps to navigate through potential situations which might come along the way. Once you've taken that step and you have gathered more references which are positive, then it's always advisable, just like I did with India, to join networks, to join professional networks, and to join events also for networking, and to position yourself as someone who is an expert in his field. Exactly. So yeah, this is what I would recommend for sure. And that works for many different countries, but the reference factor cannot be underestimated for the German market, and it would be quite important to have some team members who speak German. It helps because English, I mean, you find that very often in Germany, but especially with the SMEs who make out like almost 90% of the German companies in the whole market. So most of them, they don't have English as, I mean, yeah, none of them, most of them, yeah, they don't have English as their business language, but also many might feel uncomfortable speaking English or not even know a word. Depends.
Exactly. So Mr. Henning stated that innovate with clients, co-creation / design thinking, to which he also wrote a big para about it. So let's not paraphrase it and ask him to unmute, so we can have a discussion about it, as Mr. Don Harris is also agreeing to the fact. So let's have a conversation about it.
So I see that Henning, you're talking about, or you were giving the co-creation and design thinking as the term for
exactly
what we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. So you both can unmute yourself. We can have a great interactive session then as well. So, hello, sir.
Hi.
Hello, sir.
Hello there. Well, if you can hear me, my take on empathy is that being a good listener is crucial if you're going to be an entrepreneur and if you're going to be a helper. And empathy is all about active listening. So if you can show that you're interested in your people by being a good listener to them, then surprise, surprise, they might just be interested in doing lots of good work for you because you've shown you're interested. So my take is leading from the middle instead of always the front, and certainly not from the top down, works far better. That's my take.
Amazing. And Mr. Henning, so you're mute. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, please unmute yourself and we can talk about
sorry.
it. Yeah.
Now you should be able to. Yes. My take is especially if you're using co-creation methods like design thinking, you will rely heavily on group activities within everyone who's participating. And not only the UX person, but even the moderator and everybody within the group needs to have empathy. So to listen to what other people say and feel, especially the non-verbal communication is essential in some time. And you need to be able to encourage them to make themselves heard in a group. So find the right activities, find the right approach to empower them to give enough impact into the activities.
Amazing.
I can see that Don and Henning need to connect for sure.
Yes, it seems. There's a great quote. I can't remember the author now, so forgive me, but it's along the lines of, by asking somebody's opinion, it's the greatest compliment you can pay them, and along the way you'll meet some great people and you'll get some superb results from what they have to say.
Also, I like this co-creation, as I was describing it earlier, but not using the term, but co-creation also is great for bringing people together, and then everyone is equal. You know, everyone just brings to the table what they can offer, and the main topic in this is that you're accepted with all your skills, and you also want to contribute. So these two things come together, and then you can create awesome things as a team. So anything is possible then. And this kind of innovation process, which is also used in the design thinking approach. So this is really very enriching, I find.
Amazing. So, yeah. I guess,
By the way, we were talking about the networks and how to get into the Indian market with Kliva. So he, for example, was also doing it in a very clever way, coming from India, but going to Estonia to set up his business. And there he founded the Indo-Baltic Chamber of Commerce. So he saw that it didn't exist, so he just founded it on his own. And so this is something which helped him establish his position and network and visibility also.
Thank you very much. Vielen Dank.
Gerne. Okay, are there any other questions?
Yeah, feel free to ask questions. You can unmute yourself, and we'd be very happy if you turn on your camera as well. We'd love to see those pretty faces of yours. So yeah, if anyone else want to ask any questions, you can surely ask.
Or maybe also share some of your challenges and struggles on the way. I'm very interested.
If I may, one of the struggles that I've encountered is then, especially with startups or smaller companies that are on a growth path, is how do they keep their identity and their spirit? And that is often the core of a value-based business. The values that makes the business is what also drives the spirit and defines the culture. But if you grow, you need to kind of empower people within your organization to take on more responsibility. So the founders takes a more a role in the background, and he has to rely on the people on his team to carry on the torch with the same set of values. But I find that for them to really know the path forward, not only the values but also the strategic orientation of the company is of utmost importance. So how do you help your clients to not only discover the values but also to kind of verbalize and hold on to a strategic direction. And that, in the sense that I want to, that a goal is not a strategy, but the strategy is the way to reach a goal.
Yeah.
So it's much more harder to define a strategy than to define a goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends. I mean, there are different sets of people. For some, it's easier to define a vision. For some, it's easier to build, to start with the next step, and then at some point see where it led you to. So this is also the approach which I would always take. That on one side you have the vision for a company, on the other side you have the strategy to reach that goal or get as close as possible. So with the evaluation, a very honest evaluation along the way, where are we right now? Is this serving our goal? Is this helping us as a company for our clients as well as within the team? So you have a very honest conversation about this, and then you see whether you need to adapt your strategy in parts or completely. Whether it's helping you. So a strategy is nothing firm in that sense. It's just there to help you reach a goal. And even at times you need to change the goal if you find out that it's not working for you. That's the harder part to do, I find. But it is necessary. And I think a very honest and transparent approach to it is the best for everyone involved. And when it comes to the different stages of a lifetime of a company, of course, it changes a lot. I mean, as a startup, at first, there's the entrepreneur and the passion. And then you start building your team. Then you need to diversify and delegate the different tasks and which need to be done. And that already is a challenge for many entrepreneurs who have a strong side in starting something and being passionate about idea and selling it, but then doing a structured job, delegating stuff. That might be very difficult for some characters. And that's where you usually would think of getting a manager on board who helps diversify the different structures within the company and set up standards of procedures, set up quality management at some point. And, you diversify all these tasks, which in the beginning, the entrepreneur was doing on his own. So then the entrepreneur also, with this enablement mindset, you need to understand as an entrepreneur, when is it time for me to withdraw from certain things, to let go, to maybe find new projects where I'm good at, where I can start something, or I start something completely new, or I'm just a consultant to the company, for example, to make sure that the values are being kept alive. So these kind of issues, it's like a relationship, basically. So you need to understand, okay, it's never going to be permanently this way. It's going to change and evolve over time. So that's why this open mindset is really necessary to stay on.
Yeah, totally agree. And there's a really important word in the middle of all of this, which is trust. Mm-hmm. And that's not easily attained. It's earned. Then you have to maintain it. And by maintaining, to maintain it, you have to keep going back to the well and listening to your people, not talking to your people. That's my opinion anyway.
Very, very true. Nothing to add to that.
So we have Zan over here. He would like to ask a question. Sure. So he was asking, well, he was not present in the beginning. So he asked, can you share something about community platform startups and how they are gonna be? As in,
community
can you give them a briefing about community startups, community platform startups?
Okay, so there are a lot of startups, and it is a trend currently to set up community platforms. At first, I know there was a bit of how to say, resilience or skepticism about setting up just another platform for community, because there's already Facebook and there's already, I don't know, a lot of communities like that. But these platforms which are popping up everywhere right now, they serve as filters. They are not a competitor of Facebook's, and they're not trying that. But they serve for specific interests and services which are being accumulated in this platform, and this can also be used as a way not only for the platform itself to have the right to self-exist, but also to be sold to other companies as a technological platform or facility which they can use for themselves. Yeah, there are lots of kind of communities like that or platforms. It depends on which kind of topic you want to look into. Like, for example, there are platforms where you can learn all about option trading, you know, and they have specific designs and features in their own platform or communities. And there are other platforms which share workshops and video sessions, for example, for educating the people on specific topics. There are all kinds of platforms like this, so I can't possibly point out like one or the other like that, but what you can definitely see is that all of them, they have some way or the other to communicate themselves in social media. You will always find them somewhere, because they have to get their name out. They have to let people know they exist. And then if you're interested, you just join them. So yeah, these different platforms are definitely a huge trend, especially because they're so specialized.
Amazing.
So I see the next question.
Mm-hmm. So,
sorry, you do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, Tejas had asked one question, and it was related to Surge India International. So the question he asked was, what do you think about Surge India International's working pattern? And any suggestions or advice that you would like to provide?
Well, from the first point of contact, which was Tejas in my case, with Surge India International, I was already impressed by what you do, the vision which you have taken on for yourself, to discuss the undiscussed and take on different topics which need to be discussed. But yeah, you're working against making them a taboo and getting them out in the public, just making it normal to discuss about anything which is difficult, challenges, struggles, which we are talking about right now, but also you have topics which are like femicide or I don't know, different difficulties which are there in the society you observe. So this is a very good cause. That's why I decided to support this. And the whole interaction with all of your team has always been so professional. Extremely friendly people, you all are, and very well written. I appreciate that very much, being a lecturer. Yeah, and always quick to respond, and very engaged, very enthusiastic, and you all are volunteers. I mean, you're doing this in your spare time, so this is something which really needs to be honored.
Sure, thank you. It was a really helpful information that we got from you, and it was an amazing review. So yeah. So Sanjana over here was asking, sir, I have a query. I want to pursue my higher studies from Germany. So please tell me the entrance exams I need to pass. Suggest any best university for MA. Also, tell me the other proceedings and prerequisites required to adopt my higher education in Germany. She's 21 now and also learning Germany currently in June. I have given exams for A1 level, and in August first week given exams for BA program course final year.
So
So she's
For
asking
MA,
for
Master of
some
Arts.
courses as well.
So she's asking for Master of Arts, right? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, related to
Okay.
humanities. Yes.
Well, I mean, it depends on what exactly you want to study, and then there are also platforms which we spoke about to check what kind of studies you can do. So you enter a keyword, and then they give you the whole list of universities which provide that. And there are private universities and there are public universities in Germany. So there's the difference, which is the tuition, but also the curriculum is usually different, slightly different. So the point is, I can't answer or give you a general answer. The entrance exams or requirements for each studies to apply there differ from study to study, from university to university. If you want to study in German, then you definitely need to have B1 level of German. But if you want to study in English, and I think it's like up to 25% of the studies in Germany are available in English, then you face a stronger competition, of course, in terms of application. And also, yeah, you don't need to provide a German exam. So that's easier then. But it's recommended, definitely, when you do your living here in Germany, to be able to speak German. Yeah, so, but yeah, you just check out the specific studies on the university's page. Many universities go with UniAssist, which is a centralized application system for many studies. Mostly the public universities use it because they help to standardize the different grades from all countries and all international applicants into one standardized system so that it becomes comparable. And this is something the universities just kind of outsourced. So yeah, this you will find very often when it comes to public universities, but private universities especially, they all have their own requirements. So yeah, you need to check them out one by one or get a consultant to do that.
Amazing. So I guess Sanjana, you surely can get in touch with Ms. Juliana whenever you want.
Okay.
Sure. So, and let's conclude the session. Anything that you want to share, and then we can conclude. As in, any last notes that you want to give, ending words?
Well, I'm grateful for all the people here coming and joining this session, taking the time out to learn more about value-based entrepreneurship and also to contribute to that. So I'm very grateful for everyone joining here and actively participating also. I hope everyone just took something away from it. I hope it was helpful. And I'm very grateful to you, Search India International, and the whole team to have invited me and provided this platform as well.
Thank you. And it was a pleasure meeting you, ma'am. And also Mr. Don, Mr. Henning, and many more who are over here present. We'd love to get in touch with you as well. You all seem very interesting people, and Mr. Klaus as well. So
yep.
clever.
I can only recommend them.
Exactly. So you and Mr. Peter as well. How can I forget that? So exactly. So you all are very interesting personalities that we have over here, and we surely would get in touch with you. So till then, see ya. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I'd request everyone to leave except the core team of Search India International. Thank you, ma'am. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.